He had long stopped counting the days. The walls of the cell had become his calendar, the echo of footsteps his only reminder that time still moved. The light flickered above, and in its pulse, he found rhythm, a strange heartbeat that tethered him to existence. Somewhere deep down, he still believed freedom wasn't just a word, but a memory. He remembered the sound of rain on glass, the voice of someone calling his name, the feeling of air without weight. But here, everything was heavy. Even his thoughts fell like stones into a bottomless well. Yet somewhere beneath the silence, a single spark remained, a question that refused to die. Who am I when the walls fall away? He began to write. Not letters, not confessions, but fragments of thoughts that no longer fit in his mind. Each line felt like a small release, a fragment of freedom inked in air. The paper wasn't real, but the act was. Hope had a way of surviving, even in places where the light forgot to shine. He felt the air move beyond the bars. It carried whispers of freedom, scents of dust and rain. But every breath came with a reminder that he had built this prison long before the walls existed. And only by facing himself could he find the key to leave. In the stillness, he learned that silence wasn't empty. It was full of answers he'd never dared to hear. His thoughts softened and time lost meaning. Maybe freedom wasn't outside the cell, but within the peace he was learning to hold. He took a step, not away from the past, but toward himself. The light didn't promise escape, only understanding. Yet it was enough. The walls remained, but for the first time, they no longer held him. He walked through the halls of memory, disguised as stone and metal. Every open door seems to whisper stories of those who never left, not because they couldn't, but because they forgot how. The air itself carried weight, pressing gently on the mind, asking him, "Are you ready to know?" Behind that door lay the truth, the one history had buried beneath noise and comfort, the kind of truth that didn't change nations, but souls. He knew what waited there could unravel everything he thought he was, and yet his hand trembled, not from fear, but from recognition. Inside wasn't gold, nor power, nor the kind of secret men kill for. It was something simpler and infinitely heavier. A single page, weathered, carrying words that could have ended wars before they began. The kind of truth humanity wasn't ready to face, and maybe never would be. The words were not commands, nor revelations. They were a confession, written by those who came before. A single admission that every empire falls the same way, not by force, but by forgetting the truth. He realized the page wasn't meant to change history. It was meant to remind it. He carried the secret not as a weapon, but as a mirror, one that showed the world what it truly was. The page would never be read by many, but that wasn't the point. Some truths are too sacred for headlines. They live only in those who choose to remember. Inside the room, silence hums, louder than sound. The light is unchanging, clinical. He feels the air move, but not the time. Behind the glass, unseen eyes weigh his stillness. Every reflection becomes a mirror of judgment, and every breath is measured against the hum of the fluorescent light. The hallways whisper stories no one tells. Each flicker of light marks a heartbeat in captivity. He moves, but not forward, only deeper into the rhythm of walls that repeat his silence. To be watched is to be known, yet to be known is another form of imprisonment. He reaches for light that never quite touches him. The window isn't escape, it's memory. The warmth beyond the bars is only reflection, a language the walls no longer speak. Yet in that brief beam, he remembers what freedom used to feel like before silence became his skin. The taste of metal fills the air, even without food. He sits in front of emptiness that used to mean choice. The light hums, the tray remains still, And in that pause, he remembers, hunger isn't only for bread. It's for meaning, for motion, for forgiveness that never came. A breath of cold air escapes from the vent above, proof that somewhere motion still exists. He raises his hand, not to touch, but to remember that outside these walls, there are winds that carry names, not numbers. The vapor fades, but the memory remains solid. He looks at what cannot look back. The mirror holds no eyes, no mouth, no self. Only evidence that something stands here. But maybe truth doesn't live in faces. Maybe it hides in reflections that bend, showing not who we are, but who we failed to become. Sometimes freedom begins before the door opens. He feels it. An unseen tremor of choice, a whisper beneath the silence. Standing is rebellion. Breathing is defiance. The walls are still there, but they no longer hold his mind, only his memory. He doesn't run. He walks, steady, measured, certain. The open door isn't escape, it's understanding. The past remains, but its chains no longer hold. Each step echoes not as guilt, but as grace. The sound of a soul remembering it was never truly locked away. The walls are gone now, but the silence remains. Gentle, endless, whole. Some secrets are never spoken. They are lived, carried in light. And somewhere beyond the mist, another story begins.